Hey, we're back with three of the Musangs and Natasha from the Malditas. I will be discussing the difference between football and futsal this time around. And we're going to start off first, Sajad. Could you tell us a little bit about the difference? Because a lot of people who are new to football might not know what futsal is compared to football. Being English myself, actually, we just call it all football. It's just all football, 5-a-side, 7-a-side, whatever it is. So could you walk us through a little bit of the difference?
Well, from the word itself, futsal came from the football in the saloon. So it's more smaller, or even they call it football indoor. As we know, football is 11 versus 11, but in futsal it's 5 versus 5, just like basketball. So, and it's a quick scoring sport.
Yeah.
People, especially Filipino, usually like those kind of sport. The important in futsal usually passing, control, and it's quick movement and skills. Which, if a football player, you want to be a good football player, you can start with futsal to improve your footwork, passing, and skills.
And Nasser, Sajid alluded to it a little bit about the development it gives. What's the difference in terms of how can it make players better? How can it improve? And why is it more exciting sometimes than 11-a-side?
It's more exciting because you will have more of the time in the game to play with your teammates. Unlike in football, maybe you will not have the ball control most of the time, but in futsal you will have more ball position individually and as a team. And the passing and the movements are really important. Which makes it very different than football.
Natasha, did you ever play futsal growing up in terms of your football career?
Well, yeah, it actually really helps when you play football, because futsal, as I said earlier, it's like, helps with your touches and like passing. So, when you have that figured out, it's easier to play football. But like the difference also between like futsal and football is that in football, I guess you're more creative. You have, since it's a bigger space, you have more chances to be more creative.
Yeah, you can actually check that out on YouTube. There are some really very skillful futsal players who haven't made it through to the big leagues because they prefer the more freestyle version of futsal. They can do some amazing tricks, just spin the ball around your head and you don't know what's happened before. Dariush, could you tell us about how that can happen in the Philippine setting? Because there aren't many grass pitches, and given the climate, it's only really the artificial turf that can survive a full season. How can that be applied to the Philippines then?
Well, Filipinos are fond of fast-paced games, and we have a lot of courts here.
Yeah.
But the problem is we don't have the exact court of futsal here now. But actually, we have some universities that they have scholar players, FTW, AYAC, RTU, and well, those can help. And we're just waiting for the league so that we can find new talents. That's it. Yeah.
And tell us more about the league.
The league. Well, I think the managers and the big bosses should talk about it, because we're just players and we're still waiting for it. And we're hoping. Yeah. So, but now the focus is on Musang for the national team. And actually, I don't know if I should talk about it. The tryout.
We'll be talking about the Musangs in the next episode
okay.
as well. But for those interested, they are the national futsal team of the Philippines. We'll be talking more about how to try it with them later on.
Okay.
But can you tell us some of the highlights of your futsal career then? Let's go into some of the reasons that futsal is more exciting at times. It's more fast-paced. Actually, you're a goalkeeper, right?
Yeah.
You have to make a lot more saves. You have to. It's much more about shot stopping, right?
Being a keeper in a field, there's more. It's more into diving stuff. You know that. But in futsal, your legs are very important. And since it's a fast-paced game, and within seconds, something might happen, and you might just save the balls with your face.
Yeah.
So,
or other parts.
Yeah.
That's happened a few times.
Yeah, and you just have 4 seconds. Anytime your teammates pass, you just have 4 seconds time to think. So that's the difference.
Maybe you could walk us through some of the real big differences in terms of, obviously you mentioned, Sajad, that it's football's normally 11-a-side on the grass field, and then the five-a-side is the futsal. Could you tell us a bit more about the pitch size, for example? How small is the court and how long are the games?
Well, it's almost half of the football field, but the fact is, since it's 5 versus 5 players, it's smaller. It's not that like you're a defender, you have no task in attacking.
Yeah.
So all the players should rotate, pass, pass. And in football, you have the sprinting and recovery. But in futsal, there's no recovery. You just have to sprint. That's why the substitute is open for everyone. You can sub as much as you can.
Yeah.
You go inside, play 3 minutes, which is usual. You go out and change and recover, then go back again.
It's very, very tiring.
Yeah,
thing.
That's why a lot of people think futsal is just for like people who are not that strong enough, but it's way different, and you have to have a better stamina compared to football because it's all sprinting all the way.
Perhaps Natasha, you could tell us about how why it's so important to get into futsal at a young age, and more about how it's applicable for the Philippines.
Well, it's more applicable here because, the weather. Like, you'll never know when it's gonna rain and stuff like that. And, we don't have that much fields. And even like BGC and the new field, they're under reservation. You can't just use it whenever you want. So, unlike like in futsal, any basketball court will do. You can just put chairs on the side and just play already with the friends. Yeah, and well, football, on the other hand, though, I mean, it's different because it's, a 90-minute game. And, like what they were saying about the substitution, here it's only the first 11 play, and then, maximum 3 to 5 substitutions. And usually they save the last one for the keeper, just in case anything happens. And unlike futsal, everyone gets to play.
Yeah, so it's really important for kids' development. They can get into that. They can play 5-a-side. There's a lot of 7-a-side tournaments as well. It gets that control and touch going. Last question then. Which is more important? Which is better, football or futsal for you guys?
Well, I love enjoying futsal more than football, but still it's the same. The way but if I get used to it, when I go to play football, I still have the touch of futsal, which is obvious. If you're gonna look at the player, the first touch, you will notice he's a futsal or football player. But a lot of good football players like Ronaldinho or Zidane, they came from futsal. You see, they're skillful.
Yeah, very. Nasser, do you have a less diplomatic answer? Which is better, football or futsal for you?
I would say futsal because you will have more fun playing the game.
Okay.
Unlike football, you have to just run and run. And
don't like running.
The problem is in futsal.
It's okay. I
like
agree
I said
with
before, you really get the time to play. You will have fun.
Yeah.
More fun playing the game.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's great. You can play both games. You get into futsal, especially with kids. It gives them that intense games, and you really get into football. You really understand it, and then you can transition.
Yeah.
So for anyone wanting to follow about that, to find out more about futsal, just get to your nearest basketball court, put some jumpers or some slippers down. You make goals out of those, and then you can start playing straight away. You've got a football field right there. So for more on that, you follow us at FTW Sports.